Hey guys, it's Danny. Welcome to another episode from our Basic Houseplant Care for Beginners series. Today we're going to talk about succulents, everybody's favorites, right? Specifically about making an arrangement with various succulents because yes, these guys don't need to be kept in their own separate containers. They can be planted in an arrangement and actually do very, very well and look wonderful, not to mention. Now this arrangement can be done in a container that has drainage, so a very typical shallow container, but what I will do today is use a non-drainage container. This is one that I received from one of my lovely viewers. It has sentimental value and I want to use it. And I'm going to tell you how to water and just a few details of caring for succulents in a container without drainage. But obviously, if you're feeling a little nervous about it, there are containers with drainage, so you don't need to worry. And speaking about these containers, you can definitely find them on rePotme.com, who is the sponsor of this video and of this series. rePotme not only offers you everything you could need to grow your orchids, but also houseplants. And when it comes to succulents and cacti, they do have a special section for it. From pots to potting soils, fertilizers, and accessories, you can find everything you need to grow succulents beautifully, and not only, other houseplants as well. So down below in the description you'll have a link towards their website. Feel free to check them out at any time. I will also tell you my favorite products, some of which we will use in today's video. So with that said, on with the video. Now the first thing that I want to do is get all the succulents that I have a few more, and see which ones I'm gonna use, how many fit. Maybe I will need to separate them. My container is not super big, but I need to unpot them just do a little bit of a test planting. So definitely I want these two. This one is a little big, right? Well, we're only going to use the offshoot here, and this is actually a good way of propagating your succulents. They will produce offshoots that you can separate. So I'm gonna use a pair of pruners and just cut the stem like so. And afterwards, I will remove a few of these leaves. Some of them are not looking all that good. There we go. I want to create a little bit of a bare stem here because all of this section will be underground and the leaves will probably just rot under the soil without light with a lot of moisture. And this is where roots will start to sprout. Now, the cut wound is still wet, so it's a good idea to leave these succulents sit for maybe a day or so just to let this one dry. Or if you want to speed things up, you can actually seal it. Now you can seal this with just wax. If you have a little candle, let it burn for a little bit, create a little bit of a layer of liquid wax, dip the stem just to cover this cut, and there you go, it is sealed. You can plant it right then and there. So that's what you can do if you don't want to wait, which is what I will do as well. I will seal it. And this one, I'm gonna use as it is, but I do have some dried leaves here. I'm gonna remove these leaves, as many as I have. And also, I want to remove the first layer of soil at the top. I always like to do this whenever I repot any type of houseplant, because on the top of the soil is where you have all sorts of organic debris accumulated, maybe even fungus gnat eggs and larvae. So it's not all that important to remove all of the soil, but the top layer, it's a good idea to remove. All right, here we have the two succulents that I want to use. So let's just see how we want to arrange them. Oh, let me seal off that succulent first. Hold on. There we go. Hot glue is okay to use on stems, on succulents, things of the sort. I have been using it with orchids for years now. I have birds, so I don't really use candles. Maybe I should get some candles just for these purposes. But yeah, hot glue absolutely works. And if you want to make some more intricate arrangements in which you have to glue succulents, then you can definitely use hot glue. The next succulent that I would really like to use is this one. So again, I'm gonna remove the top layer of soil and whatever dried leaves or yellowing leaves, as many as I can see. And I will also remove the offshoots on this one as well, because we can plant these separately. And if by chance the mother plant doesn't fit, we will just use these offshoots. There we go. So I'm just pulling on them. They come off really, really easy. Okay, this looks very nice. So what I think I should do now is put some soil in my container and just see how they would look like. so that I can see how many more succulents I can add. So I'm using a soil that has quite a lot of perlite, 50% perlite in it. Succulents do appreciate a fluffy soil rather than a heavy clay soil, and since we don't have drainage here, it is important for me to have quite a fluffy soil that has a lot of air pockets. Perlite is also great because it retains water and it absorbs it. So the way that I want this setup to work is like a sort of a self-watering type of container minus the reservoir. Now, as I'm doing this, I'm sure some of you will ask, well, what about the drainage layers or fake bottom or whatever you want to call them? And well, I do not use them, and I don't believe you should use them either, especially in this setup, which is a very small container. Now, I have a video in which I elaborate a lot more and I show you, like with proof, what happens in that pebble layer. I'll link you to it down below, but the short version of it is that water actually gets trapped in that false bottom layer, in that pebble layer, and the roots of plants will definitely get in there. Since it's not really communicating with the soil cannot pick up that water and distribute it evenly through its volume. Trapped water can accumulate pathogens. Every time you water, because the soil will be dry, that level will increase and will definitely reach the soil and release all of those pathogens in the soil. Bottom line, I do not want stale water in my arrangement. What I want is this soil to be evenly moist, and when it dries, I want it to dry as even as possible. I don't want to have a layer of water here for the roots to constantly be in water. Think self-watering pots. It is exactly the same system minus the wick. Some pots, you might know, have those cones that dip into the reservoir. So in those cones, you will have soil. Think of it like that. If a part of the soil sits in water, it will wick that water and it will distribute it evenly. In our case, the water will be at the bottom, but it will not stay at the bottom. It will be distributed evenly, which is what we want. Okay, so I added a thin layer of soil. Let's just try to arrange our succulents just to see how to better arrange them. Okay, so definitely I believe these two could be at the front. We could put a little rosette here. There you go. And in the back, I'm gonna use one of the taller succulents. Which ones will I use? The jade plant or the beautiful variegated one? Decisions. I might use this one because has a bit of a pendant nature, a bit of a leaning nature, and I think it will make a good contrast. No worries, this one will be used in a different project. So again, I'm gonna unpot the plant, and I might not use all of it, or maybe I will. We'll see how much of it fits, but definitely I will remove the top layer of soil and as much soil as possible just to make sure it fits in the pot. Okay, so I added a little bit more soil now, and I'm gonna place this succulent here and this one here, and we can top up with soil, and this one right at the end, because all I need to do is just insert this in the soil. Now this, I will go ahead and divide it. There are multiple stems here. To make them a bit bushier, they do tend to plant several stems together, and that's fine with me. More bang for the buck, right? I'm gonna put this one in the back as well, and we can actually fit another stem, maybe this smaller one. Now, if you get soil all over your succulents, do not worry. I'm gonna show you how to remove it. Super easy. There we go. Now I need to add more soil, and I will play a little bit with the level. We need to arrange them a little bit as we go. Oh no, broke a leaf. Don't worry. If you do that, do not throw away the leaf, because we can propagate our succulent through the leaves very easily. Now, to make sure that we don't have big air pockets in our arrangement, what we need is a bamboo skewer. When you're dealing with houseplants, the bamboo skewer is your best friend. Trust me, it has so many uses. I even made a separate video on it. Check it down below if you're interested. So, what we need to do is insert the bamboo skewer, particularly on the sides and around the plants, and just wiggle, just to make sure that the soil falls into place into those very big air pockets. We like tiny air pockets because they will retain oxygen for the roots, but we don't want big air pockets. They will make the roots dry and just make the whole arrangement dry maybe faster than we'd like. I would not advise you to place soil all the way to the very edge of your container, because when we water, you're gonna see we need a little bit of space at the top for the water to pool until it drains down. So I am adding soil, but it's not all the way to the top. Okay, I think we can insert the last succulent that we have here and then add a little bit more soil where the level is very low. We're almost done, you guys. We're gonna talk about watering next. Before that though, let's get rid of all of the soil trapped in the succulent. So there are two ways in which you can remove it. First, you can use the makeup brush that maybe you don't like all that much anymore and gently remove all of the soil from the leaves. Or better yet, find yourself one of these little pumps. Now mine is a bit extra, it's from Polaroid. I got it from the electronics store, the camera department. But you can find repotting kits on the internet which actually come with one of these pumps as well, because it's very useful. So all we do, obviously, is just pump some, whoops, be careful, don't direct it towards the soil. Just air blow the soil from between the leaves. There we go. All clean. All right, the plants came on in the plant room. Hopefully this is not too much light, but I think you can see now with a clean table how beautiful this arrangement looks like. And it really doesn't take much. Trust me, I am not talented at putting arrangements together, not talented at design generally. But look, doesn't it look really pretty? It does. It is just that easy. Now, will these plants outgrow this arrangement? Yes, they will, but it's not gonna happen all that fast. And when they do so, it is an opportunity for you maybe to create another arrangement. But just because it's a temporary arrangement doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. As a centerpiece, it is great. I like it so much. Now, let's talk about watering, the important part. If you have a container with drainage, like those beautiful containers that also have a tray underneath, obviously there's nothing to it. You just water, the water drains. You can water at the sink just so you let it drain completely if you're worried you're gonna destroy your furniture. Really easy, right? What do we do with the containers that don't have drainage? Well, with the benefit of not leaking on surfaces comes a little bit of responsibility. We need to be careful not to water too much. So a watering can with a narrow spout will help you out because it will not deliver too much water at once. And what we want to do is just pour the water wherever you don't have succulents, maybe even on the sides, because here's the beauty of things. We don't have that drainage or false bottom layer, so our soil will communicate throughout and it will become evenly moist. So what we need to do is just maintain this layer moist and not soggy. It's a bit of a judgment call how much water to put. Obviously not a whole watering can. If you're not sure, better stay on the less water side. Succulents are very drought tolerant, but what we want to do is make the soil evenly moist. So I added some water here. I'm not sure if it is enough because right now my soil was pretty dry, so it's not even just yet. What we need to do in this instance is let it be one day and then come back the next day and check if the surface is moist. If it is moist, then it means we have enough moisture throughout the pot to communicate with the top, which is very important. If the top layer is kind of bone dry pretty much everywhere, then we did not add enough water. So we can add just a little bit more. Now, because succulents are just so forgiving and drought tolerant, even if you don't add enough water, it is okay. They will be okay. What you want is for this soil to be kind of moist. So let's say you do a good job and your soil is pretty moist, and at some point you need to rewater. But how do you know that the soil is dry? Because we should rewater when the soil is dry. Well, first of all, the top layer should be dry. But second, if you're still worried that maybe underneath the bottom layer is moist, what you can do again is use the trusty bamboo skewer, insert it, maybe leave it be for a few minutes, and then take it out and check how moist it became. If it became considerably moist, you do not need to water. Let this container be another 3-4 days easily, and then check again with your bamboo skewer. You can even use a pencil if you have it at hand. I like to use these guys. As I told you, they're my best friend with houseplants. And this is a great technique to use if you have a top layer. Some people really like to put little pebbles on top. I didn't put them because this is a non-drainage arrangement, so I want that water to evaporate faster, because what you should know is that top layers always act a little bit like mulch. They keep in a little bit more moisture. Not completely, they will not seal the top, but they will keep in moisture. And if you have an arrangement with drainage, that's not an issue. You can put on top whatever you want because water drains, but just to be safe in containers without drainage, I'd rather not put too many top layers. I might go with a little bark at some point if this perlite becomes a little bit too bad looking, but it's really up to you. And with that said, you can enjoy your succulent arrangement. I love it as a centerpiece, but you can put it wherever you want, wherever you have bright light. Succulents really actually do like bright light. On your porch or terrace or outside in the garden is a great place for it, but you can definitely enjoy it in the home as well, at least for a little while. But if you see your succulents starting to grow thin and tall, that is a sign that you're not providing enough light. And you should put it in a brighter location next to a southern, western, or even eastern window. Could be ideal, and just rotate it from time to time. But if your light comes from above, then you're all set. You don't really need to do anything. So alrighty guys, that is about it for today. Thank you so much for watching. And before I let you go, regarding these offshoots and the leaves, it's really easy to propagate them. For the offshoots, you just need to plant them in separate containers and they will take off, no worries. Especially if they have a little root, they should be absolutely fine. But even if they don't, just pluck them in the soil like this, like we did with this little offshoot, and it should be just fine. And when it comes to the leaves, what you can do is either insert them slightly into the soil like this, or put them on top of the soil, and in no time they will start to create baby plants and roots at the edge, or actually the breaking point. And that's how you can multiply your succulents from leaves you might have broken. Mind you though, the leaf needs to be healthy, so if the leaf is mushy and dry, most probably it will not sprout anything. So the healthier the leaf is, the more chances you have at baby plants sprouting. So alrighty guys, that is about it for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Hopefully you learned something new. If you've never grown succulents, it's the easiest thing, and actually in the country that I live in, it's the #1 plant people have pretty much. We have a good climate for it, but you can definitely grow it in your home. It's really nothing to it. All it likes is bright light. So with that said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you rePotme for sponsoring yet another episode. Check out my other playlists down below in the description, and of course check the description for more details on the products that I really do like using. And with that said, I'll see you all next time. Bye!